10-4, Forkers. Call sign Sea Monkey here on the ones and twos. What didn't happen last time? Our heroes met up with Major Gladstone. Shady character, that one. Ohna was led to his place again by Clive, whoever that is. And, they were pursued by the police, but evaded them. Seems like Lark's trying to be arrested for murder, and maybe Mikey for manslaughter too. Clinton as a accomplice thrown in for good measure. Meanwhile, Clinton and Mystic Mikey had a vision about a weird cultish ritual in the caves beneath Angel Falls, where these blue-robed figures, who also were Clinton's family and other Helms folks, were boiling some body parts in salt water and sewing them on to things, and geez, I can't even describe it. Well, best to go onward into strangeness and adventure, right? Not much else we can do. Sea Monkey out.
Welcome back to Moon Fork. Things kind of, progressed pretty significantly last episode, particularly at the end of last episode when we had a bit of a revelation through Mystic Mikey's memories. But to start, we'll just introduce the players. We've got Mystic Mikey, who's played by Tommy, and he is off getting a glass of water. So I did that introduction. And I'm Johnny, and I play everyone but the characters. And then we have Tyler, who is playing
Clinton. This is Tyler, who plays Clinton. Hello.
And we'll popcorn it to Jack.
Hi, this is Lark. I was gonna say something funny, but couldn't think of anything.
Hey, that's all right. It's sometimes hard to think of funny stuff, and that's why doing stand-up comedy is a brutal business, I hear. I've never tried, and I doubt I ever will. Sometimes I have delusions of grandeur about that sort of thing, but then, it just takes a minute or two to nip it in the bud, and the world is thankful. Tommy, we already introduced you, but do you want to kind of give a second introduction for yourself?
Yeah, it's Tommy, and I'm drinking lime LaCroix.
Okay, yeah, that's Mikey. What you were getting. And it's interesting that in the chat you said you're going to grab some water, which lime LaCroix is water, but I feel like a lot of times people will flex and be like, I'm off to grab a LaCroix.
Well, so here's what happened is I went to go get some water, and I remembered I can't remember where any of my Nalgene's are. I've lost all my Nalgene's. And so instead of getting a water, I just grabbed a LaCroix. So nice. I said water. When I put in the chat that I was going to get water, I intended to go get water, but I ended up grabbing a LaCroix because I wanted to come back to the pod.
And that's just the kind of topsy-turvy storytelling we can do here on Moonfork to bring it back in. Currently, we are, just to kind of give an update as to where we are in time. It has kind of been most of the night during y'all's sleepover at Ohna house in Ohna's nice cabin. I'm actually, as I was listening back to the episode, I was imagining kind of like a yurt vibe almost. So that's what I have in my head. But I don't know. It's there's something about being in a yurt that's kind of fancy but kind of rustic, and I'm just imagining her cabin's like that. It's not necessarily a yurt. And this is what makes good stories, kind of the meta narrative of the person telling you what they're imagining instead of actually describing it that way. The point is, I want to start the episode. I'm imagining it's kind of mid-morning or around dawn time, right? So it's not like people are up and about, making pancakes and coffee type of thing. It's more like you're still in bed and you're not sure if other people are awake or asleep. And now that you, at least 2 out of the 3 of you have had this kind of harrowing vision, I imagine you're reflecting on Moon Fork and its strangeness. And I want to start with Clinton. Clinton, why were you kind of this black sheep in your family? And you realize now that potentially being that black sheep is what saved you from a very dark fate. Why did you leave town? And what ended up bringing you back is what I'm interested in as you reflect on your life, laying in your pull-out couch bed.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just had a lot of kind of resentment for some of the luxury and kind of the aloofness of our family growing up. I mean, I think growing up, I felt close to them and kind of seeing just kind of how different and separate my family was from the town. I didn't like that, and I resented them, and that kind of all just built up into then more resentment for kind of how people looked at me in town as well. And I think kind of as that built upon itself, it just led to, obviously after my family disappeared, that kind of all just kind of built on to itself and kind of led to me being like, well, fuck these people, I can't deal with them. And I left and decided to kind of try to scare them and be weird rather than interact on a day-to-day basis.
And did you ever physically leave town when you were, between going to college or, maybe trying to live outside of your family's orbit? Or was it always like you were in town, but you just didn't participate in town life as much?
Yeah, always in town for sure. I never actually had the courage to really get too far away, but kind of staying around, but staying on the outskirts.
One of them weird townies. Well, that's definitely how you're perceived, so it lines up.
Yeah.
And was there a time where I remember we discussed you living off in kind of this isolated cabin yourself? Obviously, it's a lot less nice than Ohna's, or a lot less well kept. Is there a time where you shifted from your main family home, which was right on Granite Lane, kind of in the thick of things, to that more solitary living space? What age do you think you were when that was when that became your permanent dwelling?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, basically, I tried to kind of keep the house going a couple years after the family disappeared, but I couldn't do it. It was too painful and too depressing. So I kind of just let it get abandoned after a couple of years. And when I was 23, 24 at the time, and kind of went and moved off to the cabin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. An interesting look back as you reflect here. Did you ever have any aspirations for a life or job of your own? Or was it always kind of just family business or nothing because you had the money? I'm just wondering, was there ever a version of Clinton who was I'm going to go off and become, I don't know, say an ornithologist or a weird person interested in aliens or something, some venerable career?
Yeah, no, definitely not. I was always at least growing up, I was very oh, this is so sweet. I'll be the next family chairman, next business person. But my parents never kind of were giving me that back, and so I think that's kind of where some of the resentment built from, was that I never that was my kind of my growing up goal, was I'm going to be this person, but it never worked out, and they were you're not worthy of that, basically. So after that, it's kind of just well, what else is there?
You are tormented by those thoughts as you reflect on kind of this strange vision that you saw. And you also think a little bit about kind of the strangeness with Cronoa, where their voice sounded different than usual, and you're wondering why they showed you that in particular at this time. Lark, you obviously are not yet privy to the shared vision that Mystic Mikey and Clinton had. We mentioned ornithology, which is, of course, your profession. Comes up all the time, as we like to joke about. But I'm wondering, like, almost like a migratory bird, you have kind of come back to Moon Fork season after spending, kind of the on season in places around New York and the East Coast for your job. And I'm wondering, like, why do you come back? Why not just, stay out east? You like maintain kind of this seasonal dwelling, like apartment in Moon Fork. And I'm just wondering, like, what draws you back to the town?
I think I like to pretend that I come back for work, and I don't even know if I would admit that to myself, that I come back because, I feel at home here and love it here, and my family's been here. But I think I outwardly pretend, and I also lie to myself that I'm coming back for work, and I'm trying to maintain my professionalism and whatever that may be. But I think deep down it's because I want to be here.
And does it ever feel like, did you ever feel like you needed to get out, or did you ever feel stifled by town, or was it more like a place that you felt comfortable, but maybe a little bit miffed by like the family dynamics, since you didn't have as much of a relationship with like your mom or your sister? Like, I'm wondering how you parsed feeling at home in the town with this feeling of being kind of like an outsider to some of the relationships within it.
Well, I think it's a situation where it's like the grass is always greener. So I was always looking forward to getting out when I could, and growing up, being surrounded by people from here. I was never really into the whole cryptid thing. Didn't really get it. So that kind of made me feel like an outsider to some extent. And I wanted to study something real, something tangible. But then, as you go out and see the whole wide world, you realize that, what's out there isn't necessarily familiar in a good way at all times. So I think it's nice to go between the two worlds and kind of get a little bit of both.
And it's interesting that you like chose to study something that is like basically as close as you can get to like cryptozoology, but in, biology realm.
Yeah.
I think
loons are weird for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I think it speaks to kind of the interiority of the character, that they're like, I'm going to go off and do something, real, after kind of rejecting the cryptids. And yet it's like so kind of close. What were you dreaming of, if you dreamt at all, or thinking of throughout the night, as, your two partners in crime were not a real crime, as we're in the middle of a mystery investigation, but partners in crime, as a term of endearment. We're going through this kind of harrowing vision. What were you dreaming of, if anything?
I think it's been pretty well established that I was dreaming of something like Ohna, 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 Ohna.
That was like your snores, like a very cartoonish snore, like, oh no, of course. Well, that you're as close to Ohna as you've ever been at night. That is quite thrilling. She's just in the loft above. And we'll see how that relationship pans out. Meanwhile, Mikey, as you reflect in kind of the dawn light as it creeps through some of the windows, I'm wondering, like, why Angel Falls didn't feel like enough. Like, what kind of drew you one town over? A lot of your friends who wanted to get out of town were like, I'm going to Seattle, or I'm going to, another major city in California, or the East Coast. But you wanted to leave town in order to just go, like, a 15-20 minute drive across the road. And I'm wondering, like, what kind of drew you to Moon Fork?
I think it should be said that Mikey is still a little bit too young to like fully comprehend his own rationale for like why he does things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think when he is older, he'll realize that he wanted to start a life with like a relative degree of anonymity. Like, I think deep down he knows he's pretty strange. And like prerequisite to his like actualization is like a need to like, I guess, allow himself to be really weird outside the context of like all of the people that he knows and like his family that he's grown up with. It's almost like he's freeing himself by going to a different place, even though it's so close. I think especially given the time, it's like actually not that hard to be fairly anonymous, even though he's like so geographically close to where he grew up. So I think it's his version of getting a fresh start, even though, like I said, it's actually not that far from where he's actually most comfortable.
Interesting. And what do you think he makes of these kind of layered visions that are starting to remind him of what he actually saw during that fateful day in the caves underneath his hometown?
Well, he certainly doesn't possess the emotional maturity to like access what might be a sort of emotions related to like a traumatic experience. You know, he's like not processing that this is actually his brain.
Yeah, I mean,
telling
clearly
him that there's like something wrong. You know, I think he's like he's a little freaked out, but is also like totally credulous. He's just like, yes, this is normal. You know, this is just what happens to everyone. You know, it's like we all go into the caves and we see insane eldritch rituals. Like, and frankly, I think hanging out with Clinton all this time has like kind of like baked that into him a little bit more. And also to some degree hanging out with Lark, because Lark is totally normal and he keeps getting shot. So like,
That's true.
You know, like, so yeah, I think he probably won't realize exactly what is happening in him psychologically until later, and is currently just like, wow, I had a vision. That's really awesome. I always knew I would have a vision someday. Like this is exactly how I thought my life was going to go.
And as that thought passes through Mystic Mikey's head, and the similar thoughts pass through, or maybe not similar, but parallel thoughts pass through Clinton and Lark's head, you smell the unmistakable smell of coffee wafting over from the kitchen area. And you check your watch, Clinton, and it's 7 a.m. So apparently Ohna likes to get an early start. And that kind of eventually, you know, through different levels of grogginess, draws you all into the kitchen where there is a pot of coffee on, just kind of a house blend from Ohna's place. And Ohna herself hasn't prepared any kind of elaborate breakfast, but is just eating like a piece of toast with some butter and jam on it. And Sandy is there just in some like a big pajama shirt and some shorts and slippers, and is asking if like anyone would want like pancakes.
Oh boy, I would love some pancakes. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'll take some too.
So she starts to kind of get that together. You can tell she's a pretty practiced hand at it, and just puts the batter together by memory, and kind of heats up the griddle. It's one of those like old school, just like griddles you can put on top of a gas stove. So while that is going, you all kind of sip some coffee. Those who partake, who drinks coffee? Everyone? We haven't really talked about this. I feel like Mystic Mikey might be the type of person that's like 3 cups a day or never, because he can't touch caffeine.
I think Mikey actually just like gets all of his has just like innate natural energy. He's like, I just never needed it. Like
that would.
But
make sense.
He does love soda.
For sure. Does he ask for some soda potentially for breakfast or no?
Wow. This is kind of a big moment for me to decide if he's a soda in the morning type of person, because that is like a type of person,
It is, yeah. And it's, again, like he could probably go either way in my mind.
I think Mikey is totally used to kind of just subsisting on whatever's available, that he doesn't really ask for things.
Right.
He's like, I'm just going to eat the pancakes. And if there's soda later in my future, then that's what's going to happen.
Well, Ohna definitely doesn't offer soda, but she does offer coffee. I assume Clinton and Lark partake, but up to you.
Of course.
Yeah, I like 2 creams, 1 sugar. Or the equivalent.
She kind of scowls at that a little bit and is like,
Not black.
Clinton, how do you like it?
Black, please.
Yeah,
none of this nonsense.
She recovers her expression from that request and hands you both your coffee. And she goes, yeah, did everyone sleep well? I know it was kind of a packed house.
I slept absolutely phenomenal. I did have some crazy dreams, though.
Yeah, me too.
What'd you dream about?
I actually can't remember. I just remember them being crazy. That's weird. What about you?
We've all been there. I dreamt about well, it was actually really familiar to me, almost as though it was happened. This was like I was remembering something that had happened to me in real life. But basically, I went down into the caves as I wanted to do, and like in my dream, I was exploring the caves, and I kept going deeper and deeper into the caves, and I heard this like chanting, and as you guys know, like if you hear chanting in a cave, like you gotta follow it, like you gotta go down to the bottom of the cave to keep listening to the chanting, right, guys? Like, come on, like what else are you gonna do? Anyway,
I don't know what Lark and Clinton do, but the people I'm controlling completely blank stares.
Mikey doesn't pick up on facial expressions very well. He just assumes that everyone is with him, and he's like, so yeah. Anyway, we come out of this big open room, and there's a bunch of people in hooded garb, wearing costumes, and they're chanting, and they're appearing to do some kind of like esoteric ritual. That's what I dreamed about. Oh, and wait, sorry, quick lore check. Did I recognize some of the participants as Clinton's family?
So no, because in like the dream you were young and you like had no knowledge of Clinton. So you didn't recognize the people, but you did recognize when they all disrobed the Helmsfolk insignia as their tattoo. Each one of them had it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So anyway, each of these guys had a Helmsfolk tattoo, which I thought was interesting, but this just happened a little bit ago, so I haven't really had any time to process what that might mean. But yeah, pretty neat stuff. Just a pretty normal dream for a guy like me, though, to be honest.
I always knew it would happen. So are the pancakes good? Yeah.
Yeah.
During this story,
it's like mouth is like full of pancake while I sing.
Yeah, Sandy has placed the pancakes down in front of you, and it's just kind of like humoring you. Because especially how you've described it up until like the Helmsfolk part, it does kind of just seem like a Mikey fantasy. And then I imagine Clinton is like kind of alarm bells going off since you apparently saw a very similar thing, Clinton.
Yeah. Yeah, Mikey, I had the same dream last night.
You had the same dream as me, dude? Let's go! What do you mean? I'm sure I was asleep. Of course I was asleep.
I wouldn't call it a good thing. I'll give what we saw happening, but...
You thought that was bad?
Yeah, I'll give him the bloody ritual. I would call it bad, and my family being involved, I would say not ideal.
Your family was involved?
What?
Yeah, those people in the robes, they were my family members who I had who I did not know were doing this type of thing, but not good.
And then
Oh, man.
also it was like your family members and other folks from the
Yeah.
town. Like Lark would have recognized them and you would have recognized them too, Clinton. Like other people you knew were involved with like Paige Lark. But Paige Lark was not there.
Yeah.
So other members of the Helms folk, including Adrian Kipchetty's dad, who was doing the sewing of the fish head onto the human torso and legs.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't even let us borrow a body. That's crazy.
She wouldn't. It's almost like she didn't know about this particular thing. So yeah, when you say you both had the same kind of vision, Ohna and Sandy are definitely like kind of cock their heads and think it's strange. But they don't really have a ton to offer. And I guess it's like they don't really know how to parse through what that means, particularly with kind of this looming threat of like actually the, police coming after you both. Like particularly Sandy is like anxious about that. And it's like, so have you all thought of, the plan for today or what you're going to do to, I guess, evade arrest? I'm not really sure how to call this, as I've never been in this situation before, but it seems like we probably shouldn't let you all be taken in by that crazy lawyer woman.
Yeah. Probably not.
But maybe so. Maybe since you have an alibi, we could just do the trial and we could get Anchorage to be a witness to the first killing, I guess, and then exonerate Lark on the second one. Like we could always do that too. It seems like you're innocent, but it seemed like she was pretty prepared, and I wouldn't want, something unexpected to happen.
I think we got to go to the caves, right? I think that we have to go. Investigate the source of all this evil. I think my sense is that the town will exonerate us if they can tell that we've done something to deal with these issues, which seem to be coming from the caves.
Yeah, I think we need to present another option, because at the moment it feels like they're pretty locked on to us, and apparently me in particular. So I would like to figure out who might have been the perpetrator first, so that I can come not empty-handed in that way, because I'm not ready to be a fall guy for something that I had nothing to do with.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. While you're evaluating this plan, I'm going to use a plus weird roll to represent what I want this to mean. Any of y'all can roll plus weird to try to understand like the situation you would be in if you were like, or if Lark was arrested for this crime that they're trying to pin him with, particularly with like a lawyer from out of state or out of town, like what that would mean as far as implications, which will have a bearing on just the idea behind this plan. So anyone who wants to roll can, but remember, if you roll poorly, something bad might happen. So whoever has plus weird good should probably do it.
I have plus 2 weird.
I have 1 to weird.
I have 2 to weird, so I can roll.
Yeah.
2's good.
I got a 9.
Okay. Yeah,
Nice.
9. One of y'all can help for a complete success, but a little bit is probably good because I'm not sure I even have the knowledge for a 10 to describe what would happen. But you all know, or not you all, but Clinton, since you're worldly and wise, and you hear the group kind of discussing like goodwill for the town would help in like a trial, you know that especially with like a matter where a lawyer has been brought in from out of state to investigate a death of a person who is like from like a different town or different municipality, because Turner Renfro and Ted Malone are both kind of from the Seattle area. You know that the case would probably be taken to like a jurisdiction that doesn't have bias in either case, right? So it probably wouldn't happen like in this jurisdiction, and it wouldn't happen in Seattle. So it might happen in like another part of the state. So you're not sure that like the goodwill from any deed you do will necessarily have implications if they do catch you, but you can share that with the group or not. But you do learn that from your weird law, your weird law knowledge.
Okay. Yeah, guys, I have a sense that winning over the townspeople is not. I know I just said that, but it's probably not going to help us out too much. They'll.
It's all right. We all change our minds. It happens.
Yeah, but you can definitely still proceed to the caves. And that's up to you. Sandy says, all right, I mean, you all can come like look me up at the diner. I have to go put a shift in, but always happy to help. So if you need a hiding spot or anything like that, I got your back.
Wait, so the diner is reopened?
Yeah, we were going to reopen today.
Is there still like a police presence there at all, or are they pretty much done investigating the crime scene?
No, they said when they released me that I could kind of get back up underway today, and that they've like thoroughly swept the crime scene and stuff. So, yeah, me and Joaquin are gonna be back in there serving up the good stuff.
I guess my thought is like maybe there's some like esoteric Helms folklore that we haven't discovered in the caves or in the hideout yet, about like these crazy rituals or something like that. There's also the crab situation that's happening down there.
Of course, yeah.
That's right. Nobody knows what's happening with the crab.
Yeah,
So,
I guess I'd agree that definitely like before going to the caves, probably doing some research or like having a plan could be good, but it does seem risky for us to go to the diner. But I guess
it's a little risky, yeah.
I guess we could ask her to smuggle us in though, like in like a crate of oranges or something.
3 huge crates of oranges.
She just like backs up. We all get in the trunk. She backs up directly to the back door. We all just like roll out of the trunk, relatively covertly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be hot in town. It's fairly early in the morning, so that might help. Or maybe she has some like chef's coats that we could use as a disguise.
Also true.
But also, like, she doesn't really know that we're actually running, like, we have actually committed any crimes, right? Like, she just thinks that, like...
Sandy does, because Sandy is the one who told you that, like, you were going to be brought in. Like, because she was questioned to try to get to you if well, memory does serve me. That is... I was going to say if memory serves. In this case, it does.
Okay. I do think we should maybe try to get into the hideout.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So Sandy goes, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to help y'all get in, try to be as not noticed as possible. Unfortunately, the police from Yakima have been like told that that Valentine's has like the best donuts and coffee in town. So I imagine they'll kind of be around, but we can try to get you in. I doubt they'll be like, posted up at the back door or something like that. So we can probably just slip you through there.
Yeah, that'd be great. We could try that.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously it's not too far between, across the bridge and down to where Valentine's is. We can kind of go on foot since, I don't have a car here or anything. We got dropped off by Mikey's landlord.
Yeah.
So, why don't we just hoof it and see if we can't get you in there before opening time.
All right.
Do you
sounds
think?
Good.
I mean,
Yeah, what's
they're
that?
mostly looking for me at this point, right? Like they're trying to. pin it on me.
Well,
do you think if I hung
they
back?
were asking questions about everyone.
Okay.
I would assume that they would probably try to bring in any of y'all. Maybe they wouldn't say like Clinton or Mystic Mikey's under arrest, but then if they like tried to pretend like they couldn't or they didn't know where you were, they might arrest them for like prohibiting an investigation or whatever. I don't know the term.
Okay.
So I don't know. I would say probably best for everyone to kind of treat it as a undercover type of day, but that's just me. I'm no expert.
Okay.
All right, let's do some skulking.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So you all skulk through the woods. It's as well. First, Ohna's like, "Okay, bye, y'all. I'm gonna be over here working at my place. So if you need any fuel in the form of coffee or sourdough, you know where to find it. And I'll keep an eye out for 3 strange figures wearing disguises in case it's you all." And she kind of laughs an awkward laugh. And Lark, you feel your heart flutter a little bit, and you head out the door. Or do you say anything? I want to give you, if you want to have a moment, have a moment.
I was just gonna say thank you, Ohna.
Yeah, she says, "You're welcome, Lark," and directs it toward you, whatever that means. You all head out the door and across a little bridge that is kind of connected to, not connected to, but leads across where the Upper Crab flows into Spoon Brook near Ohna's business and connects to kind of the rest of the town. And you all cross the street, head in the woods, and try to kind of come up behind Valentine's Diner. You should go ahead and roll a, I don't know, I want like, it's not a bad situation yet, but I think like it could be if you kind of just go in willy-nilly. So someone can roll read a bad situation, which is plus sharp, as you kind of try to sneak in to the diner. Actually, this is probably more of a cool thing. So let's do an act under pressure as you're kind of sneaking and see how cool you can be to try to get in unnoticed.
Should we all roll or just one person?
I think just one, and we'll let that ride. We'll kind of say like you're following in their footsteps, whoever does it.
Anyone cool? Anyone especially cool? I have +1.
I have one of my abilities is sharp instead of cool under pressure, so I have +2.
Nice.
All right.
But I always roll really badly.
No, you got it this time, man.
No.
It's just
Okay.
It's
Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's fine. It's 13.
Oh, yeah, that's
more than
phenomenal.
fine.
Let's go.
If you had failed, I of course would have had like a tree get up and take out their rifle and shoot you.
Yeah.
On a 12 plus, you choose either to do what you wanted and something extra, or to do what you wanted to absolute perfection.
What's the exact thing I was rolling for?
You were
How
rolling
far
for
away are we?
You're there now, like you're kind of like hiding in the tree line near the diner. So basically, what you're rolling for is like getting in, or like getting the group in the back and into the Helmsfolk HQ.
I'm wondering if the get in and something extra, the extra could go towards solving the crab blood problem.
Yeah, well, that's actually it's interesting that you mentioned the crab blood problem. So you all get in, you get down the hatch, and you think that you're going to like enter into the Helmsfolk HQ as you left it, baby pool full of crab blood. But you actually enter into like a space with a checkered floor, and you see Ruth there. And Ruth goes, "Hey, what's up?
Hey, Ruth.
How's it going, boys?
I love what you've done with the place.
Well, it's funny. I was just chilling, in kind of my liminal space, waiting to see if Clinton would come request, another type of weapon and another type of mask. But he didn't. And then you all kind of you came in through the ceiling or something. How'd you manage that?
Well, we just went into the Helmsfolk HQ and this is just where we ended up. I just kind of assumed that you were in the Elmsfolk HQ and you had kind of redecorated.
Wait a second. So she kind of like shuffles across the space and almost like I don't know, I have this visceral image of like a SpongeBob episode where there was like this invisible like Batmobile style thing and he like hit up against it. And she kind of does that. So it's like she hits up against like an invisible wall, basically. And she goes, what the heck is this? And she like puts her hand through kind of what is like an invisible space and pulls out like a what looks to be kind of the remnants of a logbook, but it's like sopping wet in this like lava blood type of situation. And she's like, what did you boys did you like leave something down there, or where did this chop blood come from, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, there was this chop crab thing that we killed, but it didn't die, because I'm assuming it's like spirit was like still kind of bound to this plane, and it just kept bleeding everywhere.
And it wasn't to this plane type of situation, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't like bleeding too bad, so we just figured we'd come back in a couple days and take care of it later, and that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, well, this is fascinating. I suppose maybe a lot of your space kind of got flooded with blood, and then now your space is kind of my space too. It's it's maybe right. It's something to do with kind of the unstable energy of the chop not really knowing what to do with itself in this world. I'm not sure if this is necessarily a boon for you all, because it seems like a lot of what you had down there was kind of, messed up. But I guess it would still hold all of the properties that were not, perishable by blood. So if you had any kind of like runes or things like that, I guess now we both have them. So that's something.
Oh, nice. But like the logbooks and
you can enter my house easier, I guess.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
But like this logbook is maybe destroyed. Can I take a look at it?
Yeah, she hands it to you. She goes, "Be my guest. Be my guest." And you also, Mystic Mikey, just with your kind of natural curiosity, you head over to the same space that she just kind of reached through, and you can do the same. So you all can kind of like access, if you by memory, the stuff that was in here. But a lot of it is kind of under blood, underwater, under blood. And so like anything that you had in here that would be affected by that is, I would think that like the logbooks aren't like completely ruined, right? But they're like sopping wet and a lot of the pages are discolored. So I'll say like we can do a roll to see how much you can get from that. Also having Ruth here means that like she's kind of like your font of knowledge now, right? So like you can ask her questions as well. But as you kind of rifle through what is kind of left of the HQ, she goes, yeah, I mean, I can kind of sense that energy in here. It's funny. Was the crab's name like Clive by any chance?
I think so.
You think the crab's name was Clive?
I mean, we've heard the name.
What was the crab like?
He kept attacking us.
Okay, so kind of a freaky deaky. Did it seem intelligent or not so much?
No.
Okay. So it was probably one of Goblin Shark Vera's soldiers. Doesn't seem like Clive to me. Clive seems a lot more like someone with whale fall. One of Angus's people, Remember when I told you all about this stuff? Have you been keeping it in mind?
Could you tell us a little bit more about Clive? Because we've actually heard that name recently.
Yeah, so apparently ever since I've been transferred here, which has just been recently, well, I guess isn't transferred necessarily, but since my space has been connected with your space, think of that. Do you think there'd be some kind of like internet site that would be good like that? Like a MySpace? Anyway.
It's catchy.
It's maybe one day. Anyway, this creature named Clive has been trying to communicate with me and apparently with another person in town. He doesn't really know their name, so I assumed it was maybe one of you. And they were just saying that I suppose I can understand them probably a little bit better than whoever they're communicating with is, but they were saying that Angus wants to talk to you all and maybe has a plan or some kind of desire to finally get Whalefall, like use the person power that Whalefall has to make change in the chop, which is something that really surprised me because I thought that Whalefall was all just kind of like peace and love, man, and just leave good enough alone, but I guess the chop's getting not so good now that the Chop King and Goblin Shark Vera are all about messing things up, eh?
I guess so.
And you remember all that stuff, right? I don't need to go over it again.
Yeah.
So just for us, because the listeners probably don't remember, maybe they're new. There's 3 factions in the Chop. There's the Fleet, which is led by the Chop King, which is the freaky, huge octopus human cyborg thing that like wears human parts on them, like stitched on them, and it's really creepy. And Lark actually came face to face with it. There's Benthic Horizon, which is like the faction that is more, they're like Luddites, but they're like warring Luddites. So they're like, they don't want human technology. They don't want intelligence like humans have. They just want to like destroy the world and go back to like the natural ocean, right? So that's like who like the crab was from and who a lot of the creatures who aren't as intelligent, but who are still monstrous and like ravaging are from. And then there is Whalefall, which is led by an elephant seal named Angus. And they're very timid, but they're like the overwhelming majority in the Chop. So like most people are like, oh, I'm Whalefall. Like I just want there to be peace. But the other 2 factions are like way more vocal, way more active. And so like Whalefall is not really it's like a lack of faction more than it has been a faction to date. But they're like giving no thought to like improving their lives or getting back what like the Chop once was before kind of like the humans staked out this earth on top of it is more
Sounds
just
familiar.
like, yeah, it was more just like they don't want any trouble historically. Yeah.
Well, where would we find Angus?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like Clive has been trying to tell me to lead y'all to Angus, or which one of you is Clive communicating with?
None of us.
Oh, really? Who is it then?
There's this like really cool and pretty and successful and like just generally awesome woman in town.
Wait, no, your mom died, Lark.
No, I wasn't thinking about my mom.
Oh, okay. Who are you thinking of then?
There's this woman. She owns this bakery.
Oh, well, I thought you and Sandy were friends.
No, she owns my mom's old diner. There's this woman named Ohna Fellow, and she kind of I don't know. She's been hearing the name Clive over and over again, and
really?
it's been leading her all over town. So we don't really know.
That must be the same Clive I'm talking to. Yeah, real character, that one. They say they're a jellyfish. But yeah, they say they're trying to kind of be Angus's right-hand person, right-hand jellyfish, and that they want to kind of meet up with the brightest humans to kind of form a coalition that can maybe fight back against some of the evil that's going on in the Chop right now and maybe make things better. But I don't know why. I suppose Angus is a person of few words.
Is this a situation that could be risky for us? Because we've also heard that, I don't remember exactly from who, but there seems to be another threatening entity that's headed towards town right now, and they have
right.
long.
I'm the one who told you about that. I'm glad you're keeping it in mind.
We also heard from the guy in the woods, right, who was coming back from the caves with the sharp fingers. So I'm just
yes.
I don't want to deal with anyone with sharp fingers.
That was probably one of the two kind of presences I was warning you about. Remember, two outside presences that are similar to what I was, which was kind of like a shape-shifting calamity machine, they're in Moon Fork, and I feel their presences. Remember, it was like the what was that movie called? Oh yes, The Star Wars. It's like I haven't felt this presence in so long. You know what I'm talking about?
And that's not Clive, correct? Or Angus.
Clive and Angus aren't really those type of presences. My understanding is that they're genuinely trying to be helpful. Now, I'm not some kind of omnipresent, omnipotent, bomb being. I'm just me, you know? So that's just my perception.
Okay, I guess we should set up a meeting then, unless you gentlemen have a different thought.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I was trying to figure out if he could just tell me where to go, but he was saying he was going to communicate with the person who is meant to, connect with them where to go. And so I thought that was one of you. And so when you came here, I was like, oh, great. I wanted to ask them about this anyway. But it sounds like maybe you need to go get back in touch with your pretty smart, intelligent, wonderful bakery owner to figure out where to go next.
You forgot successful.
Oh, successful, of course. Seems like the type of person that would own like a yurt-like cabin or something.
It was strange, though, because she didn't seem to, from what she was telling us, was that the beacon in the map that was being presented to her was always leading to us. It didn't lead to another location. You know what I mean? It was leading her to us. So kind of confusing in that way. I don't know if it was broken or something.
That is somewhat confusing. I mean, so this is Johnny, by the way. She didn't know it was leading her to you the first time because the kid bluffed her away, remember? So she actually didn't know that. But you know that both times it has led her to you. So I don't know. I don't know what Clive is saying.
Okay, I guess we gotta shucks. We're gonna have to go see Ohna again. Damn it. Fuck.
You can, or you can do something else. You can try to figure out these logbooks. You can do whatever you want.
Since we're here, might as well see if they were writing down anything about any rituals or anything like that.
I definitely agree. I have one more question for Ruth.
Yes. I mean, I literally can't leave, so...
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm thinking because, I mean, not that this has happened frequently, but we've killed this crab fellow. We killed that other guy who was way bigger. I'm assuming there's been instances where other beings from the chop have died and haven't been properly disposed of, which must be connected to her house. So is there any way that we could go from here not only to Ruth's house, but somewhere else in Moonfork? You know what I mean? Like, is there a place in the caves where maybe some crab died and, I don't know. Is she connected to the caves at all? Anywhere else in town?
Now that is interesting. I suppose this in particular happened because it seemed to me, and by the way, I took care of the crab. I kind of just ate it and it was yummy, and so now I guess it's bleeding inside me, but that doesn't really matter. Like I'm kind of a boss like that. So you don't have to worry about the crab anymore, but it seemed like you had specifically plucked off each of its legs and placed it in a position where it would bleed a lot. I feel like only if you did that in a contained space would it allow us to kind of enter and exit at will. And even then, remember, we wouldn't be able to see the space around it because you would just be seeing what you see, which is this tiled floor, and I would be seeing what I see, which is, the chop itself. And so it would be disorienting, but I guess we could use that as kind of a fast travel type situation if you ever wanted to set something up like that again. Because and maybe, who knows, in the future it could help me get back home if I ever wanted to go. Not that going back there right now seems like such a great idea.
Yeah, I'm just thinking we wouldn't need to necessarily see everything in the room if it's an enclosed room and we can find the door and open it and exit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
if you
maybe.
found something like that, it might work. But you'd probably find me there without me even knowing it, because I'm just kind of floating here.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I guess we should check out these logbooks, right? Right, Mikey?
Yes, of course. And if you have any questions for me while you search, ask away.
I have a quick question, actually. The picture of the general, right, or not the general, the colonel. That was a newspaper clipping,
Major.
or the major. Sorry, yeah, that was a newspaper
No, you're
clipping,
good.
or was that like something like on the computer? I forget.
Yeah, so that was like you were on Ted Malone's computer, but it was like a scanned in clipping
Okay.
of the like early Seattle times.
Yeah.
And so that was like around turn of the century, and that was a picture that looked exactly like
Yeah.
the person you know to be Major Gladstone, and it was captioned with the name Hardy Gold.
Yeah.
And he
was
looked
just
like the
curious-
same. It didn't look like
Yeah.
they had aged at all. Yeah.
I was just curious about asking Ruth about either the name Hardy Gold or showing a picture and seeing like, have you seen this person in town? Because she's been here for longer than us, right? So
Yeah. She doesn't know the name. She kind of shakes her head in thought and goes, that's interesting though. You saying that maybe you saw someone who looked kind of the same as someone who's here now and hadn't aged at all, because I hadn't thought that the Chop King had really like experimented with anyone like me before me, but you know, they don't really disclose that information. So I would probably be pretty skeptical of this person. It seems like y'all kind of already are, but then also you just said that you maybe hung out with him for most of the day yesterday. So I would say maybe be scared of doing that more. I'm not sure though. Like I said, it's just my perception.
yeah, we definitely spilled lots of details to them, but we'll be more careful in the future. Thank you, Ruth.
Maybe you should be, maybe not. Maybe he's just a nice guy who resembles someone who is on a shady person's computer. I don't know.
Hopefully that's it.
I
He
really
did help
hope
us
so,
evade
too.
the law, so
At what cost, my young flitting friend? At what cost? She kind of wonders. Yeah, you all have a look at the logbooks. Who is kind of doing the main looking here?
I think Mikey's the expert, in my opinion. So
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have kind of gleaning the rest of the information from these, you know, somewhat dilapidated, damaged logbooks. Be a investigate a mystery, and then based on that, we can kind of work some of the questions into a format that will be helpful.
It's plus sharp for investigate a mystery.
It is, yeah.
I got a 13.
Wow.
13 is sick. So with a 13, you can just ask any question you want about the mystery, not just listed. So I'll give you the listed. What happens here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go? What was it going to do? What is being concealed here? And for rule sticklers, I am using the advanced on a 12 plus like moves, but I just think it's more interesting because you have to like take those in leveling up, but it's fun to use them, so we're using them.
So I can ask anything I want, not just limited to the list of questions?
Correct. Yes. And remember, it's like within the fiction, so it's like if you asked like something very specific, like what the fuck was that ritual about? Like I could maybe tell you some stuff, and remember the information is going to be even less complete because of the damage state of the books. Yeah.
Okay. And I can only ask one question?
Actually, you can ask two.
Do you guys feel like something is being concealed?
Well, to me, it feels like there's some sort of motive behind the prosecution of us, or the attempted prosecution of us. I don't know if that's being concealed, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why they're trying to pin it on us. Like, I don't know what this out of town woman's motives are. I don't know what she's hiding, but that's most pertinent in my mind. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I would also, like, my main question is, like, I guess figuring out what the old Helms folk people knew about the chop and, like, what they were trying to get at with the fish ritual that we saw, and, like, and, like, what, like, how deep had they, like, gotten into knowing what we know via Ruth and Lark.
That's better.
Yeah. Well, I could ask both of those things. I suppose, right? I can ask 2 questions, whatever I want.
I guess one's not related to the logbooks, though, really.
But remember, you also have Ruth here, who might know something about those people, since she was, like, you're not sure exactly the chronology, but, like, Clinton, that, like, for instance, from looking at your father, that he was, like, around the age of, like, when Ruth would have been around. Because like, when Ruth came into town, when she got to know Paige, and that was kind of, like, when the Helms folk became somewhat more obsolete, because Ruth helped, like, seal off the portals, and when she, like, fell in love with humans, basically.
Yep.
So you can ask Ruth the questions too, but just tell me before you ask, so I know kind of what information to give.
Okay, I tell Ruth about my vision, and I'm like, so what were the Helms folk doing in that vision?
Oh, my boy. And she kind of gets, she, like, an expression you haven't seen comes into her face, which is kind of like darkness, right? She's very, like, upbeat for what she is in the life she has lived, but you can tell that this kind of strikes a chord with her, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry you had to see that. That was, I think, perhaps the culminating event in what was kind of the destruction of my dear friend Paige's organization. You see, the thing is, these Helms folk people, they were really they were driven to do good, and that's what I see in you three, and what makes me like you so much, and what made me just so interested in helping the humans out back when I was sent to kind of destroy them, was just this hope and this desire to do good that seems to, live latent in most of you all, and in crunch time it comes up, and it shows its face, and it's beautiful. And they kind of got hooked on that feeling in some way, and so when there were no more monsters to fight, and no more good to be done in that realm, they went searching for something else to help with, and they found those caves. And I would hear from Paige how, it started out as like we want to seal this up, we want to make this better, we want to make sure nobody else can get exposed to this radiation that the military wasn't telling us about, because all that stuff I think is real, is true, what apparently this person, Major Gladstone, told you, or whatever they are. All that stuff is true about the military storing their waste down there, and thinking it wouldn't harm anyone besides, potentially the residents of a podunk town in Washington nobody cares about. And I mean, there it was. So as good neighbors, they went under Angel Falls and started sealing stuff off, but something happened down there, and I think they were kind of poisoned, and they found out that I was from the chop, and that, Paige and I were really buddy, and they got angry at that. They said, why is the creature we were so hell-bent on taking down, kind of the hero of the story? That shouldn't be the case. And they were angry, and they were sick, and it seems like they lost themselves. Paige, was really contrite about helping them, but one day they disappeared, and they eventually came back, and they would disappear for longer and longer stretches and started acting strangely. And one day they just they never came back. And I knew they were down there in those caves doing something bad, but I never went to look myself. I offered because I can, do things that, other creatures can't, but there's not much I can do being trapped in here necessarily. And Paige said, that she could get hurt going down there. She was getting on in years, and eventually they never came back, and that was a major blow to the town. I imagine, their bodies are still down there somewhere.
Do you think if you were to see the caves at this point, you'd be able to tell us more? Do you think if you, Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, I would think that, all the stuff being true about like the toxicity of the place, I'm not sure I would have much to offer in the way of like privileged information. I've of course studied up on the stuff in my fascination with modern human culture, and but beyond that, I'm not sure, it's much more than your run of the mill like radioactive waste is bad and can make people feel and do, terrible. In the case of do things, and in the case of feel, just terrible. So yeah, I'm not sure I'd be an expert on it, but if you were to say kill a creature and leave it down there to bleed in an enclosed space, I could visit it with you at least.
Ruth, you said they were sick. Do you think that maybe like someone like from the Chop King's like realm or orbit kind of like got to them and like kind of like got them on the wrong path? Like, what do you mean that they were sick?
Well, all I know is they were like physically ill. Like a lot of them had coughs, and that old doctor even I think contracted cancer. Well before his time. So they were physically sick, but it was something to do with their minds too. Like the radioactivity and kind of history of that I've read about with the clock painters and even Mary Curie herself, kind of dying of radiation poisoning. Like that was all physical, but something about what the military was doing down there seemed to affect their mindset as well. And I always thought it was ironic because here I thought I was, kind of rebelling against my purpose, but in the end, I did end up destroying the Helms folk because in their sickened state, they left Paige in the lurch. They left town, and eventually it dwindled down to having no one in the organization until Mikey kind of brought it back up again, and you both joined up.
So you said that like some of the members just got extremely sucked into like the dark rituals. Like, was there something that pushed them in that direction, or was it just like something that kind of naturally happened over time?
Well, I don't know. All I know is they appeared to be quite ill in the mind and of body, and then they started disappearing for longer stretches, and it seemed like they were doing something bad. That's kind of the extent of it since I couldn't get down there myself, and Paige was mostly distraught and just saying she didn't want to get involved at the time, so I'm afraid I don't have a ton of worthwhile information in that realm. All I know is they were doing some really freaky deaky stuff down there, and probably means what they went down to do initially as far as sealing it off is the best that could happen. But now that that was kind of part of the lore, and people don't really visit the caves much unless by accident, I would assume. I doubt they've been sealed off at all. It makes it kind of scary what someone could do with that kind of power.
I don't know if I missed this, but based on the description of what they were doing, do you know what they were trying to do? Like, what were they doing with the cauldron and the chanting, and like, were they?
I mean, honestly, it just seems like they were whacked out of their minds.
Okay, they're just crazy.
I mean, what a whacked out of their minds people do, like probably creepy stuff to people who are sane. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So I still have my 2 questions. I think
We'll say that was one of the questions.
That was one,
okay,
right?
that's one of the questions. Fair enough. So I think we could ask about the investigation. Like, why are they interested in us? I feel like we have a pretty good idea of what they're trying to do. Like, I feel like they're trying to like come in, like do this like real estate empire in the town and like progressively eliminate anyone who would oppose them. Is my take on the situation. But I could be wrong. And I feel like they're interested in us for that reason, because like we are interlopers, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
But they're both dead.
So that's my question, is they're both dead. And like it kind of seems to me like maybe there's like a force, like a Ruth like force, or someone who is like also kind of maybe the pushing factor behind this like more real world side of the thing. Like maybe like there's something on like they are doing that, or they were doing that, but also like this part of it also is kind of wrapped up in this Helms folk back and forth and narrative as well, and like maybe there's some like something that other we could look for there in terms of like who maybe could have been that person pushing against like the other Helmsburg members back then, or like kind of like looking into that, or I don't know.
Okay.
Like we could like search through what we can find in the log books to see if like they wrote anything down about like their rituals or who they were talking to, or like who influenced them, or like maybe there could be like something in Paige's diary where she was writing about like the specifics of what was going on and kind of like what she noticed they were doing, acting differently, or like if they were talking to someone or something, I guess could be one angle.
Yeah, we could do that. We could give the books a quick rifle and see if that information is in there before we burn the question.
You could do the logbooks rifle. You could go Lark. You would have been, I think, like willed Paige's like personal documents, so you could maybe look through those back at your place. You could also go see if like your place was broken into, which we still haven't done. So yeah, there's a number of ways we could take it.
I'm assuming my place would be kind of hot still, though, right? Like they're
probably
looking for us.
Yeah, it would have to be the sort of like grab the stuff and go.
Yeah. Are we thinking that Gladstone was talking with them too, because he seems to be, I don't know if immortal is the right word, but not aging really? Could he have influenced them? Know. Perhaps
it's possible. I mean, it seems like he's obviously been in the world a long time, but he wasn't like necessarily in the town at that time because like no one recognizes him again. People who were in the town at that time, like Clinton probably would have recognized him if he was in the town. You may have recognized him from when you were a child. So maybe he was from the CHOP and just doing other stuff elsewhere. Maybe it's something else. You're not sure.
Wasn't the first thing that he said to us about the caves, or like we like asked about the like his military stuff? Maybe I'm
so he was initially seen in the first episode, I think, kind of crawling over the swales, which he claims to be studying. Which, like, as you all know from what you know about what the CHOP's going on, like that's pretty suspicious if he is a creature from the CHOP, because if he's like trying to figure out stuff with the swales, it probably means he was trying to figure out a way to kind of burst the portal between worlds, for lack of a better term.
I think it kind of makes sense to try to find some information in the logbooks here. And then I think because we're at Ruth's house, I feel like we could try to leave from Ruth's house, go back to Ohna's, and figure out the Clive situation.
Oh, that's true. You can just instantly be in the forest from under Valentine's now. And you have a different way of entering the HQ, which is an interesting kind of side effect of this strange blood situation. And also, I like what Lark put in the chat, which was making blood bombs to trap entities, because it's still true that if a creature from the chop is kind of enters Ruth's house, which is, now Ruth's house is in multiple places. They can't get out. That would, of course, create some other kind of tension because then they would also be in the HQ and also be. So it's kind of mind bending what would happen, but I'm interested to see myself.
Yeah.
Ruth did eat the last thing, so maybe Ruth could eat, whatever entity we put in there.
Maybe it'll turn into like one of those animes where like you are like working with a mythical beast, but their loyalty is bought with like yummy cuisine.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all seafood diet.
Yeah, that would be an interesting turn to take. I'm ready for it. We'll do the trial. We'll do the seafood cooking competition. It'll be a whole thing. So yeah, y'all want to head over to Ohna's? Maybe see what's up with Clive?
Yeah.
But first we need to, do you want to do the question or you want to hold it or let it slide? You don't have to.
Let's hold the question for now.
Yeah.
Okay. You can always you can pull it in like due time. So if you want to make note of it and it's still like within the next couple of days, I'll let you do it. But if it's like a year later and you're like, remember that, we're not doing it.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So you all pop out of the liminal space in the woods where Ruth's hut was, which is pretty disorienting for you all. And I imagine Sandy's going to have questions later when you just never, come back up. But for now, it'll be fine because she's working and doesn't want you to be caught anyway by the police who are probably in the diner. And you head on over to Ohna's place. As you are leaving, Ruth goes, by the way, I kind of wanted to just say thank you all for kind of being my friends. I haven't gotten to talk to people in a long time, and I hope it's at least, somewhat refreshing for you all to have some of this information. And mechanically, what that little, boon grants you is we're going to do the beginning of arc rolls now, just because we haven't been doing like arc by arc. So dredge that up from your character sheets. I'm not sure if each one of you has it, but I can also help with research. So we've got...
I have a couple, I think, or at least one.
Okay. Yes. So the expert... Do you have one, Lark? I know Mystic Mikey's got preparedness.
Mine, I think it's... I've read about this sort of thing before or something. I ask questions at the beginning of each arc. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, that sounds right. So whoever has it up in front of them can go, and we'll just parse that out now before we close the episode.
I have premonitions. Roll plus weird. Okay. Yeah, so I got an 11, which means on a 10 plus, you get a detailed vision of something bad that is yet to happen. You take +1 for to prevent it coming true and mark experience if you stop it.
Okay, sweet. Have you been doing this too? Because maybe that would give you experience. I think you maybe succeeded on one of these, but yeah. Go ahead.
I think I did for like the very first mystery, but I don't think that we've had like enough clear start of mystery things to roll again since then.
Sure.
So
yeah, let's give you +1, or let's give you an experience point just because I think you did do that. Before we forget. And I don't know if that helps you level up because the other boys are one level ahead.
That will level me up. So next time I can come with my level prepared.
Next time, come with your level up ability. On a 10 plus, you get a detailed vision of something bad that is yet to happen. And you said you got a 10 plus, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for this vision, it is as you are like exiting and having this kind of moment of disorientation as you exit from a place that you didn't enter. And in the kind of in between space, you're thinking about like, oh, who is this Major Gladstone? Who is Hardy Gold? What possibly could a creature like that have an interest in like this real, radioactive waste from our world? And you see an explosion, But it's not like an explosion you've seen in the past where like it's like popping off of the swales are popping off and like exploding like that. It might be of the same origin because you don't necessarily see where it's originating from. But you see like a mini mushroom cloud type of explosion coming from, the center of town. And then you see the that substance that like is glowing, like the glowing green that Mystic Mikey is, like raining down. So it seems like some creature is going to try to like create, mass sickness and madness by leveraging this waste. And that's what you're going to try.
And you said that explosion came from the caves area, or it came from from in town?
No, so it came from the center of town vaguely, but you're kind of seeing it from a view that doesn't necessarily see exactly where it's stemming from.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
All right, we've been mischaracterizing preparedness.
I love
it's
that.
It's actually the man with the plan that is this thing that I have, the pre-mystery thing.
Perfect.
But anyway, it's just a semantics. So I'm just going to roll my little 2d6 here. I got, and that's plus sharp. Nice. I got a 10. So I get 2 charges of the man with the plan.
Of what we thought was preparedness. Sure. So that's
Correct.
like you can you can like be somewhere completely prepared, right?
Yes.
Or something along those lines.
Spend the hold to be where you need to be, prepared and ready.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds great. That will be helpful as things get a little more dire. And then Lark, what was yours?
Mine is actually connect the dots, which is at the beginning of each mystery. If you look for the wider patterns that current events might be a part of, roll plus sharp.
Yep.
On a 10 plus, hold 3, blah, 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 blah. The questions are, is this person connected to current events more than they're saying? When and where will the next critical event occur? What does the monster want from this person? Is this connected to previous mysteries we've investigated? And how does this mystery connect to the bigger picture? So now I will roll. I will roll a 10.
Okay.
Very good. Questions.
You hold 3. Ask them questions.
Sweet. Can I ask them now, or should we wait? Because I can.
No, ask them now. Yeah, we'll finish on these questions.
Okay, so the first and most obvious question I feel like is when and where will the next critical event occur?
Yes, that will be at the curling club.
Okay. Oh God. Okay, and then when it says, "Is this person connected to current events more than they are saying?" Is that? I guess I could pick any person.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I would like to know about the prosecutor. Is there some sort of conspiracy here, or is it just a
definitely
person trying
connected.
To do their job?
Definitely more connected than they're saying. Yeah, lots of connections that they're not talking about. Yeah.
Okay, and then I guess. I guess the last question would be. I mean, I don't want the whole thing answered because it's like too much of a spoiler. But I guess it's how is Gladstone connected to the bigger picture?
Yeah,
like a little tidbit, I guess.
I'll just say like Gladstone is one of the presences that Ruth is talking about.
Okay,
that's how he's connected to the bigger picture, and I feel like that's not as much of a spoiler because it's becoming pretty clear.
Yeah.
And let's just say that the next critical event question was asked at the end here because you all kind of are slinking toward Ohna's place through the forest and sneaking across the bridge as quietly as you can. This is the broad daylight, so you can only do that as good as you can. And you actually bump into Ohna, who's coming across the bridge the other direction, and she goes, y'all, it's Clive. He's kind of presenting me with one of those map thingies again and saying his name all weird. And I think he's leading me toward the curling club. And we'll finish up there.
Weird America, would you give me this one thing? It's medieval, but it's as modern as something. you can't put down. Weird America, I'll be seeing you around. Weird America, I'll be seeing you on the swells today.